Department of Homeless Services to put their plan on hold. You heard what's going on tonight. They're playing games. We haven't had this experience in about 15 years with Department of Homeless Services. That the Department of Homeless Services come out to speak to the community board, come out to speak to the residents and explain to them what their intention is and what's going on, which I think they did for the first time formally tonight, but we're not quite sure because there's no transparency. To speak to the Block Association and the Ascension Church community that has been supportive in working with them all these years. And we called upon our borough president and our councilmen and all elected officials to insist in their roles that this city agency, Department of Homeless Services in New York City, put everything on hold, meet with the community, and then come up with a rationale, and hopefully our goal is that the women should remain there and they should have the home that they've established, and this cruel and inhumane action, sending people all different places when they've established themselves in the community, cease and not happen. I just want to have Katie, who's one of the wonderful members of our community, speak now.
Thank you, Shelley. So as a fellow member of the Health and Human Services Committee and someone who used to work at a transitional shelter, very much like the shelter on 107th Street, I have seen firsthand the transformative impact that providing somebody with a safe and stable roof over their heads, how that can transform a life and lead somebody to greater economic self-sufficiency. And no one on our committee, we all believe that everyone is entitled to a safe and secure home, somewhere, again, where they can build a life and get back on their feet. That includes men, women, children, families, seniors, everybody. And so in this vision, we are aligned with the Department of Homeless Services. Our issue is the way that they are going about achieving this goal. These women, as you have heard from many people tonight, they have been embraced by the community. They volunteer and work in the community. They have settled in, they have built a life, they have developed a community inside the shelter amongst themselves and outside with their neighbors. And we feel it is completely inhumane, it is cruel, and it is unacceptable to suddenly uproot these women with absolutely no community input, no outreach, no conversation. We are also extremely concerned, and this is something that we really haven't talked about tonight, about the physical, emotional, and economic toll that uprooting these women will have. Again, they are working, they are going to school, they have easily accessible public transportation options here, and they know that they live in a safe neighborhood. And there has been zero consideration about if they are moved, whether or not they're going to be able to go to their jobs, whether or not they're going to be able to continue going to school. This could potentially have a catastrophic impact on their lives and on their well-being. And so for these reasons, I urge you to support our resolution that would immediately halt this plan and slow things down so that we are able to speak with the Department of Homeless Services so that they can consult with affected residents, the surrounding community, the community board, and elected officials, and hopefully so that these residents of the shelter, these upstanding citizens of our community, are able to stay in their rightful home. Thank you.
As mentioned earlier, last Wednesday, Community Board 7 sent a letter to DHS, and the elected officials have sent another letter today to them following up on this.
And the elected officials are going to have a press conference on this, and there's been media coverage, but not enough. Elizabeth Kellner, a resident of Manhattan Valley, long-term resident.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Kellner. I've lived in Manhattan Valley for 42 years. I don't live on that block. I live right around the corner. I'll be very quick because I'm not going to repeat all the eloquent things everyone has said. I'm working with some of the people on 107th Street to find legal counsel for these women, preferably pro bono counsel.
Riverside Senior Law Project is available I will give you Larry Wood's information.
I have already sent them that, but if anybody knows a private lawyer at a big firm who could do this pro bono, I suggest that they go to Legal Aid Society, Goddard Riverside, the Public Advocate's Office, etc. So, here's my contact information, but if anybody else has any suggestions, I'm not sure if they all want to be represented as a group, or if, just some people individually who sign up complaints with the Human Rights Commission, discrimination on the basis of sex, there are all kinds of possibilities.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, if it's okay, we're gonna call the question in the interest of time, and I know the hearts of our board members
All
on
those
this.
in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Those opposed?
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries.
Okay, and just the announcement that Wednesday, October 30th, from 7 to 9, HHS, together with YAL, will be discussing the vaping issue, and, which is very controversial, and we invite everyone to attend.
What was the vote?
40-000.
What's the date, Shelley? I'm sorry.
October 30th, Wednesday.
The Transportation Committee, we have 4 relatively straightforward resolutions. The first is electric charging stations. Con Ed, in conjunction with the DOT, has proposed 3 electric charging stations in our community. Each station has 2 ports, so there are 6 spots. 3 locations, 2 spots in each location. The list of the locations is on the sheet. The exact 2 spots have not been identified yet, but the general locations have been. We have 2 speakers on this issue. The first is John Lusso. Okay.
I wasn't at the transportation meeting when they proposed this. I was just concerned. Is there any people from Con Ed here? Nobody. Well, then, I got some information from a young fellow on your committee about these charges and the amount of electricity, which is in the kilowatt range. I don't think that we're ready for this. I don't think there's a lot of electrical cars around. Putting them in the street could be very dangerous. You should have an attendant. They should be in a gas station where there's some kind of attendant. It isn't practical because with kilowatts, it's going to take about 6 hours to charge a car. I mean, you can fill up 240 automobiles with gasoline in that same amount of time. The technology in the cars isn't up to standards yet, but we can charge them quickly. In order to charge them quickly, you're going to need over 5 megawatts of electricity. I'd explain to some people that's like running 3,500 hair dryers all at once. This is impractical. And from my point of view, I think that Con Ed is trying to get their foot in the door. For 20 years from now, should we have a society that has electric cars with batteries that can withstand enormous charges and being done quickly? Also, they're going to be dangerous should something go wrong.
Marcia Dresden-Tepler.
Good evening. This is an enterprise that doesn't belong on our community streets. We don't have gas pumps on our streets, and these charging stations belong in garages, gas stations, or lay-bys off the road. They will add to the congestion of our streets because cars take a long time to charge, so we will have cars standing and waiting on our residential streets. And on West 86th Street in particular, where they want to put this charging station, we have already lost parking spaces to the Atria building, which doesn't even use the parking spaces, and to the luxury building that is at the corner of 86th and West End. So if this is a community board, you should be doing what is best for the community, not for an enterprise. And we do not need or want these charging stations on our street.
Questions, comments, discussion? Jay?
I just want to understand the chart, Howard. So like on West 86, it says from Riverside to West End. Can you just give us?
My expectation is they're going to find a spot somewhere in that
So
vicinity
that
and
just
take two
defines-
spots, right?
just
And put the
defines-
charger in the middle and it's gonna reach 2 cars on either end.
So we don't know where.
Don't know, I don't, yep, Matt? Yes, we saw something at the committee. Full disclosure, there was 1 vote against it, I was the vote against it, so maybe if someone else was.
Why were you against it?
You want me to yell or?
Okay, is there another mic?
There is.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh. I'm holding on to this. You have to push it down for a bit there. Can I see it? Here you go. Give that a try.
Hello. Does this work?
Keep trying. Keep trying.
Hello again.
Try it one more time.
Is there an on-off button there?
All right, I'll speak. It's on. It's green.
Yep.
So I have a question, so you're closer, it's better, and then a statement, and that was, they brought a point up, what other, besides the parking spots, was there other spots looked at? Was there garages looked at, especially if it's gonna be, if it was sort of an experiment, did we look at various different spots to put it besides the street, like a parking garage? I know there's some spots in the parks that have some available spots. Then I'd like to.
They concluded the desire to put it on the street. I think they should have looked at garages. I think they belong in garages. Again, I was the one person against it. So no, I don't. I obviously don't think it should be on the street.
All right. I'd like to make that. Yeah, so I have a concern that we are, as a whole, giving up too many parking spots. There's been a lot of work done, and as a full disclosure, I'm a biker, and I've supported all the bike lanes, and I understand I'm willing to give up parking spots for that, but I'm also very empathetic to people that have cars in New York City, that have to commute outside of the city because their jobs aren't there, because they have family members. And what I heard last time, and I know Jeanette brought it up, there was a large group of people that felt that their needs were not discussed or not being heard. And my thought process is I'm not going to support this for my reasons. I think we should not be moving parking spots till we have a better understanding of what is going on for those people. I know we have a transportation sort of a forum. I'm looking forward to seeing that. And it may only be 6, but it's experimental. I think it should be other places. And I'm not going to vote for this, or I'm not going to vote for anything that removes parking spots till we get a better understanding of what's going on for that group of people in this community who I'm very empathetic to and don't feel they're being heard.
A lot of people want to speak on this.
Here's the problem. Does this work?
No, turning on the second microphone killed the first one. Which one? Now do we know which one's first?
It is now 9:15, and we have 10 o'clock, unfortunately, to be out of here.
Now we're clear.
So,
We can announce the results tomorrow.
no. So, why don't we take a couple more questions and then call the question?
Roberta, the results of the election.
We're going to take a break.
All right. The second vice chair is Doug. The first vice chair is Andrew. And the new chair of our board is Mark. I'd like to really thank the candidates. The all acquitted yourselves well, you answered questions well. It was a good election. Thanks, and for the first time since I've been on the board, which is about 30 years, we had 49 of 50 members present and voting.
Good job.
Oh, yeah, wait.
We don't have 40 members.
We have 40 members. We have 49 votes and we're sure.
We got problems.
Secretary was a close vote. And I'm going to call it a tie between Julian and Sarah.
So we had a discussion, I think you had a discussion of transportation, maybe hear from people that weren't in transportation, so that would be.
Should we have someone who voted for it introducing it?
Yeah. Who wants to?
Does anyone want to? I will, unless.
I was not at transportation.
So let's be clear. This passed committee 7-1, and 2 non-committee members were there and voted for it as well. So it was a 9-1 vote. Howard had his concerns. Overall, we passed it, and the idea of this is that right now there's no place for people who own electric vehicles in our neighborhood to charge their electric vehicles, which means that anyone who's parking their car in the street is unable to charge their vehicle in our neighborhood, which means that people can't have electric vehicles. And so what Con Ed proposed is a very simple thing. It's just a pilot. It's all of 6 spots that they're going to have available for people to charge electric vehicles. And for me, given a choice of having people driving electric vehicles or driving gas-powered vehicles, I'd rather create ways to get people who do have vehicles in our district to have electric vehicles. It's only 6 spots. They have a system to rent them out so that you're paying for the spot as well as paying for the charge, which means that people won't be able to game it and park in the spots and leave their car there forever, so that they'll turn it over and give people a chance to charge their cars.
Thank you. I just want to correct some information. It's not that you can have an electric car. This is using public space to facilitate electric cars. There are chargers in private garages. There are plenty of places to charge your car. It's just there's no public place. That's
no, I said if you park on your street, you can't charge.
I think as a public policy matter, we should be encouraging people to drive electric cars if they're going to drive anything. There are 11,000 parking spaces on the Upper West Side. Most of them are free. We're talking about removing 6. These are not, and we're not removing, this is parking, but it's parking for electric vehicles, which as a society we should be encouraging.
406, you already removed 400 from Central Park West.
I think we have to call the question just for a time.
Okay,
people, we have a lot of issues tonight. We had a full hearing on this at transportation. I really think we need to call the question.
I just want to make a clarification about the presentation we were given. I think there were some concerns among community members about safety of the electric chargers being on the street, and how the reason we have gas stations is because you need an attendant there, people there to monitor them. Con Edison reassured us that these electric chargers are completely safe. In the case of water damage, a vehicle collision, this doesn't cause any problems. There's mechanisms in place to make sure that these are perfectly safe to be in the community.
Yep, they did say that. Thank you. We're going to call the question. Okay, the question's been called. All those in favor, please raise their hands.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. All those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 16, 17.
Great.
Abstaining?
Abstaining.
1, 2.
Okay, we have 3 more, which should go a lot more quickly.
2817-2.
Okay, 241 Central Park West. It's a building on Central Park West that put in a ramp for handicap, which involved putting in an entrance on a side street so that handicapped people would have access. They would like to have a loading zone in front of that new entrance on the side street. The resolution passed unanimously at the committee. Questions?
I remember a few years ago, we passed our first loading zone at the behest of some co-ops. And I objected, and Andrew, I think, was the head of transportation at the time, and he promised that this was an exception. This is now the third or fourth. And my guess is that every building on Central Park West is going to ask for a loading zone for handicapped people. It is in a period when we are losing parking spaces at a very rapid rate. I think it's a mistake to leave space vacant all year round on the off chance that a handicapped person might need to pull in there. There's plenty of handicapped people get into buildings all the time. The vans can double park, and it's an unnecessary burden on people who own cars and can't afford garages.
I'll just comment that this is a loading zone, and if you've gone on anywhere on the Upper West Side recently, you'll see plenty of double parked cars. This is an attempt. This will not be empty. There's plenty of space in the street that's used. If a loading zone's set up, it's very likely to have a car in it. A couple more comments, Linda?
On that block, there is a very large and very expansive city bike dock that has taken most of the parking away from that particular block, side street parking. In addition, there is space that's been allocated to the movie theater on that block. It's between Broadway and Amsterdam Avenue. So taking away more parking on 84th Street seems almost punitive at this point. So I understand the need for a loading dock to a certain extent, but I think I agree with Richard. It's asking a lot.
One more. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we had a very, very similar discussion, I think maybe about 3 months ago. I think it was another Central Park West building. Richard correctly, I think, recalled in the discussion there that the prior discussion where we were told the one in West 73rd Street was a unique circumstance and wasn't going to happen again.
Yeah.
There it was happening again. But what I would like to find out from you, Howard, is I vaguely recall our discussion 2 or 3 months ago of sort of a little bit of asking the committee to go back and think more about a generalized policy, because I think it's exactly right. There's no co-op, condo, or for that matter rental building that wouldn't like to have a loading zone in front of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're way on the slippery slope and don't see a reason why this building is different from most other buildings that would be on that slope. So has there been any reflection on the overall issue?
Absolutely. There's a dearth of loading zones, and there's a big need for them. Again, double parking is a big problem. This is an attempt to improve traffic flow, avoid double parking, and help handicapped people through the loss of one parking spot. Call the question. Oh, question.
There's a question or a comment.
Mark,
Yeah.
new chair.
Thanks. The other thing I wanted to mention in this context is that this is a block that experiences heightened congestion at least twice a day because there is a school, I believe it's a private school, but a school that has drop off and pick up. I'm channeling the car talk guys. That has congestion because of that. It actually is the building across the street that first inspired the need for this loading zone. So this is not a situation in which a particular Central Park West building is asking for a loading zone, nor is it on Central Park West. It's on the side street right by the handicap entrance. And so in support of the ability for an accessorized vehicle to get to the doctor's offices that are going to be serviced by this loading zone, I think this fits well within our exception as opposed to our rule.
Thank you for pointing that out. Again, this is an attempt to improve traffic flow and to give a greater access for handicapped people. Call the question. All those in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 28, those opposed, 29, those opposed, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Abstentions? One.
Okay, we have 2 secondary street renamings, and I could make the case, but I was wondering if someone's here to speak on behalf of Felipe de Jesus Built. Great.
Hi everyone, I'm going to be quick. I know everybody's exhausted. My name is Tara Whalen. I've lived in this community for a long time, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about my friend Felipe de Jesus Built. First, let me say happy holidays to all of you celebrating, and wherever Roberta is, I'm sorry, I do not have a certificate for you. I didn't know what this room looked like or if I was going to even speak, so I'm sorry for this small picture, but I think sometimes visualizing things helps. So this is my friend that I'm here to talk to you about. A lot of things that you guys said today reminded me of him, actually, and we have a lot of friends and family members in the audience here. I think sometimes people have such a presence that they actually can define a community, and that was my friend Felipe. Felipe had a 54-year relationship with the community and was officially known by us as the mayor of 80th Street. He worked as the superintendent of 206 West 80th Street, which is between Broadway and Amsterdam, for 49 years. And he looked after all of the people in the building and on the block. Even after his retirement 5 years ago, at the age of 89, he still managed to take care of everyone. Felipe was like family to all of us on the block. He would sit on the stoop from the early morning, watching the block and speaking to all that went by. He always knew what was going on, and he always took care of us. I remember former tenants coming back all the time, asking him for advice, asking him to fix things. He was always involved in everybody's life. He always took care of everyone and never himself. Over the years, the Upper West Side has changed a lot. Many people tonight were talking about small businesses, local businesses. I happen to own a small business myself, so I feel very much the same. The Upper West Side has kind of lost a lot of that charm with the big name stores. Felipe offered some permanence. He was very special to all of us for 54 years, and we would love to honor him with this secondary street naming. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Any questions, comments, criticisms? Call the question. All those in favor?
In favor?